Estrogen controls hair growth, skin, vision, breathing, heartbeat, gastrointestinal function, brain function, lung function, bladder, muscle, bones. That's a lot of body functions on the back of one hormone. So nature cross-trained hormones and multiple different hormones also takes part in these functions. So DHEA, which is an adrenal hormone, thyroid hormone, and cortisol, the chronic stress hormone, for example, are also involved in all these body functions in different ways. This is why we can't prescribe hormones based on symptoms, as is commonly done in conventional medicine. Someone with hot flashes, for example, may have hot flashes because estrogen is too low or too high. They may have progesterone that's too low or cortisol that's too high. They may have high thyroid as well and have hot flashes. You can't possibly guess without testing. This is why doctors who prescribe bioidentical hormones monitor the levels by measuring them. And we'll talk about how to monitor hormones later in our show. In conventional medicine, hormones are prescribed based on symptoms alone most of the time, especially in the case of estrogen and progesterone, which isn't helpful and may even be dangerous long term. Why is there so much controversy about hormones? And why did I get a letter from the American College of Obstetrics and Gynecology telling me I shouldn't prescribe bioidentical hormones because there is allegedly no data to support them? What I learned in taking my courses in functional medicine is that there is a ton of data supporting the use of bioidentical hormones. Most of them have not been published in the standard conventional medical journals, and most aren't conducted here in the United States. Of the few that have been conducted here in the States, where bioidentical hormones have been studied head-to-head with our synthetic hormones, there's no controversy at all. Bioidentical hormones are safer, hands down. Studies on bioidentical hormones indicate the following: a reduction of breast cancer risk, a reduction of Alzheimer's dementia risk, a reduction of heart disease. We even see reduction of autoimmune diseases. There is no evidence whatsoever that natural progesterone increases the risk of stroke or blood clots, unlike synthetic progestins, which have been shown to do so. So what makes a bioidentical hormone a bioidentical hormone? They have three properties that are important. Number one, they're naturally sourced from yam and soy. Number two, they're altered to make them look exactly like the human version of the hormone. So the estradiol made in your body is indistinguishable from the bioidentical version. If you look at Prempro under a microscope, for example, it is not indistinguishable from the estrogen that you make in your own body. It's different. And that's what makes it unsafe long term. Number three, bioidentical hormones are monitored. And again, we'll talk about monitoring the levels later in our show today. So bioidentical hormones are natural. They're made to look identical to your own hormones. The chemical structures of bioidentical hormones are identical to your own biology, hence the name bioidentical. So yes, they're altered, but it's their final structure that makes them safe. That's why the studies are clear about the safety of bioidentical hormones. There have also been quality of life studies on bioidentical hormones showing improvement of quality of life. We've known for decades that synthetic progestins increase the risk of cancer and strokes. I remember reading about this in my residency textbooks in OBGYN. But we just kept prescribing it because we were trained to do so. After the Women's Health Initiative study, we decided that we'd limit hormone replacement therapy like Prempro to 5 years, a fairly arbitrary number given that the study was abruptly halted prior to 5 years. Why is synthetic progesterone, such as Prempro, so dangerous? If you look at its structure, it's not actually progesterone. if you look at the structure of natural progesterone and compare it to synthetic progesterone, they look different. Not by a lot, but the bottom line is they're different. And when we look at body function, it's extremely precise. Every position on that hormone matters. So if it's different in any way, the body will perform different functions than intended. Again, not by a lot, just by a little at a time. But like a faucet that drips slowly, it eventually overflows and causes a flood. This is why the study on Prempro took 4 years to show the increase of cancer and stroke. A little bit of bad function every day until it reached a tipping point. In this case, cancer and strokes. In my book, The Tao of Integrative Medicine, I devote an entire chapter to hormones. And I show the differences in the structures in my book as well. And I show a list of references in the back for anyone who would want to see the studies on bioidentical hormones to get more information. So why not just make all hormones bioidentical rather than make them synthetic at all? That would seem like a logical thing to do, no? Turns out that natural hormones cannot be branded by a pharmaceutical company. In order to brand something, you have to make it unique and different. So the chemical structure is frequently changed to reach that end. That's why they took Premarin from estradiol and made it look different. That's why they took Prempro and made it look different. If you were to change the structure of bioidentical hormones, they would no longer be bioidentical hormones. Our synthetic oral contraceptive pills are known to increase the risk of breast cancer and strokes after 10 years of use. Why? Because their structures are not the same as natural estrogen and progesterone. So again, little by little, they create abnormal body function over time, and they accumulate in the body, which is what makes them cause infertility and work in the first place. So we accept the risk to mitigate unwanted pregnancies, but it comes at a cost long term. In Europe, there are bioidentical protocols for birth control that are not used here. They're not used much there either, but they are available and safer. Everything in medicine is about risk and benefit when patients make decisions. So knowing the long-term risk of cancer and stroke is important when making these decisions. We're getting ready for our first commercial break. So thanks for listening to Awakened Wellness with Mylène Riobe, MD, right here on Dream Vision 7 Radio. You can learn more at www.riobeintegrativemedicine.com. Riobe is spelled R-I-O-B as in boy, E as in Edward. When we come back, we'll discuss why bioidentical hormones are a safe alternative for hormone replacement therapy in any wellness and prevention plan. We'll debunk more myths when we come back. So please give us a call with your questions and comments. I know there are a lot of questions out there about hormones, so I'd love to hear from you. Our number is area code 833-220-1200. That's 833-220-1200. I'd love to hear from you when we come back after this commercial break. Thank you.
What happens when we begin to realize that the 200-year experiment we've called the American healthcare system has failed? Learn how spirituality, ancient traditions, and cutting-edge science are merging to create a new paradigm of wellness on Awakened Wellness with Mylène Riobe, MD. Tune in every Tuesday at 11 a.m. and 11 p.m. Eastern Time with live shows on the first and third mornings when you can call in and ask Dr. Mylène the questions that matter most to you. Dr. Mylène is the medical director of the Riobe Institute of Integrative Medicine in Jupiter, Florida. For more information, visit riobeintegrativemedicine.com. Dream Vision 7 Radio Network invites you in for this dynamic, forward-thinking show.
Omega Institute, offering workshops, retreats, and online learning dedicated to awakening the best in the human spirit. For 40 years, Omega has been a gathering place for great thinkers, creative talent, spiritual teachers, and social visionaries With 390 workshops to choose from, Omega offers something for everyone. Located in Rhinebeck, New York, just 90 miles north of New York City, Omega's natural environment and quiet pace allow for extraordinary experiences to unfold. Learn more at eomega.org.
EDECIA is a U.S. nonprofit dedicated to the dream of ending childhood malnutrition for millions of children around the world. Through the manufacture of Plumpy Nut and other nutrient-rich, peanut-based, ready-to-use foods, EDECIA has already delivered life and hope to nearly 1 million children in over 26 developing countries. To find out how you can join EDECIA's dream of ending childhood malnutrition, please visit edeciaglobal.org.
This is Dream Vision 7 Radio Network, uniting mankind with universal love. Our shows are created from the heart, bringing each listener to a place of divine enlightenment. Breathe, relax, and enjoy. Let life flow.
Welcome back to Awakened Wellness with Milen Riobe, MD. I'm your host, Dr. Milen, and today we're exploring hormones and deciding if they're friends or foes. In our first segment, we explored bioidentical hormones and what makes them different and safer than what we've used here historically. We have a question I got by text. How can we get bioidentical hormones if they're not manufactured by pharmaceutical companies? So the answer is they are made by certified compounding pharmacists. So they are made at compounding pharmacies. So you want to make sure that your pharmacy is certified to make bioidentical hormones. And another really critically important factor that I wasn't going to discuss, but with the question it's important to talk about, is you have to make sure you know the fillers that are being used when your bioidentical hormones are made. The FDA recently forced some pharmacies to take off more natural fillers because they stated that there were not enough stability studies. In other words, they couldn't document the shelf life of the hormones with the natural fillers, and so they kind of forced some of the pharmacies to take them off the shelves. And so there are only a couple left that can be used. And so it's important that you discuss with your compounding pharmacist not just that there's the bioidentical hormone present, but what else is in there with it. It's important to have natural fillers. So make sure you have that discussion with your doctor and your pharmacist. It's important that everything is natural in that formula. So thank you for that question. So why do hormone levels decline as we age? It turns out that stress is the main reason for this. Stress stresses out hormones and causes them to become imbalanced. The main hormone we make and use under chronic stress is cortisol. This is made in the adrenal glands, which sit just above the kidneys and are part of the TCM kidney, part of the endocrine system. So cortisol does a lot, not all of which is good. So this is why we're relating chronic stress to diseases. So cortisol alters insulin levels, which are responsible for blood sugar control. So high cortisol equals high blood sugar. Cortisol lowers progesterone levels, which then causes what's called estrogen dominance, which is associated with multiple symptoms and conditions, and is also associated with a slight increase of cancer. Low progesterone has been associated also with infertility and miscarriages, so this isn't just a menopause problem. Cortisol suppresses thyroid hormone, causing a relative hypothyroidism or underactive thyroid, which can lead to weight gain, heart disease, depression, and many other conditions. Cortisol and chronic stress cause nutrient deficiencies in the liver, which alters hormones as well. So why did nature build this into itself? Why does chronic stress cause so many problems? Well, the answer is because stress is not supposed to be chronic. Chronic cortisol elevations cause decreases of DHEA, which is the principal balancing hormone to cortisol. It's the yin to cortisol's yang. So this is what is called adrenal stress and fatigue. And if pushed further, the fatigue worsens, and symptoms of fatigue set in along with many other issues. So stress is not supposed to be chronic. Nature didn't really build this